Good morning and welcome to Toronto Police Headquarters. Today, Superintendent Steve Watts of Organized Crime Enforcement Drug Squad will speak on Project Thurs, an illegal drug distribution investigation. Superintendent?
Good morning. The purpose of today's news conference is to make the public and media aware of an investigation undertaken and led by the Toronto Police Service with the assistance from our federal partners, Canada Border Services Agency, Provincial Joint Forces Cannabis Enforcement Team, the Waterloo Regional Police Service, and FinTrack. A number of months ago, members of the Toronto Drug Squad Major Project Section commenced an investigation into individuals they had reason to believe were trafficking in high levels of cocaine and other illicit substances. This police operation was designated Project Thurs, spelled D-O-S. Over the course of several months, evidence was collected and led our investigators to believe that the individuals were operating a high-level illicit distribution ring capable of generating profits in the millions of dollars. On April 25th of this year, the investigation culminated in the arrest of several parties and the execution of numerous search warrants at residence and storage lockers in Toronto, Vaughan, Waterloo, and Stoney Creek, Ontario. The execution of these search warrants led to the seizure of multiple kilograms of cocaine, hundreds of kilograms of ephedrine, which we'll speak more to later. It's a precursor required to produce crystal methamphetamine, large amount of kilos of phenacetin, a cutting agent, other quantities of crystal meth and ketamine, as well as hundreds of thousands of dollars in what we allege are proceeds of crime. Much of this evidence you'll see before you today on the tables in front of you. During the execution of the search warrant in Waterloo, a marijuana grow operation was discovered. It was determined that the operators had obtained a license to lawfully grow marijuana. However, the amount of plants drastically exceeded what the government-issued grow license allowed for. This is what we refer to as the gray market. We'll address that further. Before turning the podium over to the unit commander of the drug squad, I'd like to acknowledge the investigators from our major project section in the Toronto Drug Squad. Their efforts have not only placed a group of alleged producers and dealers before the court, but they've removed millions of dollars of illicit substances and proceeds from the illegal drug market. And more to the point, from the streets of our city and from the Greater Toronto Area and southwestern Ontario, which has a direct impact on public safety moving forward. Results like these do not come easy. They require commitment and dedication and involve hundreds of hours of work, some of it mundane and other times very dangerous and high risk for our members. I would also like to thank and recognize other members of the OCE family, including the Integrated Gun and Task Force, Financial Crimes Unit, the Firearms Enforcement Unit, the AOCTF Unit. And once again, with our ongoing cooperation and collaboration with CBSA, the Provincial Joint Forces Cannabis Enforcement Team, Waterloo Region Police, and FinTrack for a successful resolution in this project. I'll now call on Inspector Don Belanger to provide you the specifics in relation to Project Thurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. So, as a result of Project Thurs, the following individuals were arrested and charged with drug trafficking and drug distribution-related offenses. And I'm advised that the list of charges will be provided to you. If you don't have them now, you'll have them shortly after today's news conference. So the individuals are Mario Palermo, P-A-L-E-R-M-O, 19 years of Toronto. Duc Dai Pham, that's spelled D-U-C. Second name is D-U-Y. Pham is P-H-A-M, 32 years of Toronto. Quoc Pham, that's Q-U-O-C. Pham, 38 years. And his wife, Thai, T-H-I. Second name is T-H-U-Y. Van Nguyen. The surname is Nguyen, N-G-U-Y-E-N. 33 years, and they're both also of Toronto. Hung Phai Nguyen, that's H-U-N-G. second name PHI Nguyen, 34 years of Stoney Creek. He, so the first name is I, surname of He, He, 32 years of Toronto. Ryan Yetman, Yetman, 26 years of Toronto. And Amanda King, 32 years of Toronto. The accused individuals were all released on bail following their arrest, and they are scheduled to appear at the old City Hall Courthouse on June 12th at 9 a.m. In addition to the above arrests, the takedown of Project Dose resulted in the execution of 29 search warrants linked to the above named individuals. I can advise that while some of these search warrants were executed at the residences of these individuals, a significant number were executed on vehicles linked to the accused as well as storage lockers. Much of the seized contraband was located in lockers and condos that were being used as stash houses or stash locations. Additionally, 7 kilograms of powder cocaine were seized from a vehicle that we allege is linked to the accused Quoc Pham and his wife Ty Van Nguyen. The locations of the stash houses and storage lockers were scattered throughout the city of Toronto. With respect to the significant drug quantities located as a result of this operation, I'll start with cocaine. Close to 29 kilograms of cocaine with the potential to generate street-level profits of close to $3 million. Marijuana. As indicated by Superintendent Watts, this investigation led us to a marijuana grow operation in Kitchener. Despite having been issued a license by Health Canada to grow marijuana for medicinal purposes, it is our allegation that this grow operation exceeded its allowable grow limit by an astounding 3,905 plants. Based on a conservative estimate that one marijuana plant can produce roughly 250 grams of dried marijuana, 3,905 plants have the potential to generate profits of close to $10 million. With regard to dried and packaged marijuana, 232 kilos were seized with the potential to generate profits of up to $2.3 million. Ephedrine. You'll see in the bags that are on the floor in front of you today, that represents some of the ephedrine that was seized in this investigation. During the execution of the search warrant at the residence of Quoc Pham and his wife Ty Van Nguyen, we allege that close to 700 kilograms, and I'll repeat that, 700 kilograms of ephedrine were located and seized from their garage. Ephedrine, while itself not illegal to possess in Canada, is highly regulated, and it is a necessary precursor for the production of crystal methamphetamine, and it requires a license to import, sell, package, or even to provide to another person. According to our drug experts, ephedrine is sold to crystal meth producers for approximately $3,000 per kilogram. This means that this quantity of ephedrine had the potential to yield as much as $2.1 million when sold on the black market. Moreover, as the primary ingredient in crystal meth, I'm advised that 1 kilogram of ephedrine can produce approximately 700 grams of crystal meth. This means that 700 kilograms of ephedrine, close to the amount seized from that garage, has the capacity to produce as much as an astounding 490 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine. It is our belief that this quantity of ephedrine was destined for a methamphetamine production lab or labs. This is all the more concerning when history has taught us that meth labs are highly volatile, prone to explosion, and needless to say, present a serious risk to public safety, as the superintendent indicated. That aspect of our investigation is ongoing. I'll now speak about phenacetin, also on display here. During the course of Project Dose, investigators located 20 kilograms of phenacetin in a storage locker. Phenacetin, as well, while not like ephedrine, while not itself illegal to possess in Canada, is an inexpensive drug that shares a consistency and color with powder cocaine. It is used by criminal drug dealers for the sole purpose of cutting, or in other words, diluting cocaine to maximize profits. According to our experts, this amount of phenacetin would cost a cocaine dealer over $31,000 to purchase. It is worth noting that phenacetin is regulated under the Food and Drugs Act due to its serious health implications, particularly on the kidneys. Despite this, it is routinely used as an additive by cocaine dealers as an easy way to increase profits. And I can tell you that Health Canada banned phenacetin as a prescription pain reliever in the 1970s because of the negative health implications of it. The unprecedented amount of precursor and cutting agent uncovered in this investigation is indicative of the sophistication and scope of this distribution ring. The amount of phenacetin is also indicative of this group's ability to purchase cocaine at the source and then maximize profits by diluting it with additives to then be sold to street-level drug dealers. When looking at the totality of the drugs, precursors, and cutting agents uncovered in this operation, our drug experts estimate the total potential street value to be a staggering $17 million. With regard to what we allege to be proceeds generated by this criminal organization, our investigators seized just over $300,000 in cash. To have this quantity of cash on hand drives home the point of just how profitable this drug operation was. In closing, I'd like to echo the comments of Superintendent Watts in commending our major drug section. As you've heard and as you can see before you, the results of this investigation are truly impressive, and they will have a direct impact on disrupting this ring of controlled substances distributors. A ton of work goes into achieving these types of results, and it truly is a credit to these investigators that they've been able to uncover this. I'd also like to acknowledge the assistance we received from the Waterloo Regional Police Service, the Provincial Cannabis Enforcement Team, the Canada Border Services Agency, and FinTrack. Finally, I'd like to thank Superintendent Watts and the various subunits within his Organized Crime Enforcement Unit, including our own Clan Lab and street-level enforcement teams at the Drug Squad, the Firearms Enforcement Unit and street-level teams at the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, the Asian Organized Crime Task Force represented by the Toronto Police Service, the OPP, the RCMP, York Regional Police, and Peel Regional Police. And finally, last but certainly not least, the Asset Forfeiture, our Asset Forfeiture Unit for their ongoing support and assistance. We will now take questions, keeping in mind that there are aspects of this investigation that are still ongoing.
You mentioned that the precursor seized was an unprecedented amount. Do you know, like, this amount of fentanyl, is that the largest seizure ever made by Toronto Police, or do you know?
It's certainly the largest seizure that I'm aware of in relation to the TPS, and I would suggest that it's likely the largest seizure in Canada by a police service.
Would it have been illegally imported into Canada, or do you know where it would have originated?
That part of the investigation is still ongoing, so I'm not going to comment on that at this time.
Any idea how long this organization allegedly was in operation?
I can't disclose that at this time.
You know what the number of plants the grow up was licensed? I mean, you said it was 3,000 plus over the limit of what we're licensed.
What I'll say to that is significantly fewer. It wasn't a matter of them simply doubling their yield. It was way, way beyond that. That part of the investigation is also still ongoing. We do anticipate laying additional charges in relation to that. So I can't really say more than that at this time.
Are you disappointed in the fact that such a large scale, I mean, obviously large scale lab was not located?
Well, I'll say this. This started out as a cocaine investigation. And as our investigation expanded, we discovered that these individuals were involved in more than obviously cocaine distribution and sales. This investigation is by no means concluded, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
And again, we see seizures of marijuana. The legislation, the promise of the legislation of legalization of cannabis was to sort of take this off the backs of police again and again and again. Why is it we're seeing so much marijuana seized and so much continued production when the promise of legalization was to sort of eliminate this? That's what we were all told.
That's a fair point. I mean, here you have a situation where somebody has clearly made the effort to obtain a license to grow it, and quite obviously has abused that license and chosen to grow far more than they're licensed to do so, and you know, they're supplying to a market that is clearly there and with a demand. I don't know if you want to speak more to the gray market.
Sure, I'll just speak to that a bit. The reality is, the true reality is, until legalized marijuana can be sold at the same price per gram that illicit black market marijuana is sold at, you are always going to have a gray market exist. You're going to have this type of situation. So that is the true reality. So all the other rhetoric aside, that's the truth. So it's economics. It's about money. We've I've stood up here before and I've talked to you. It's about money. Forget about nature of the substance. It's about money. There's obviously conversations to be had about nature of the substance moving forward and its harmful effects. That's another side topic. But regardless of it, it's about money and how much money can you make with a particular product. And that is the reality. So there still is money to be made with illicit marijuana, which is you see before you.
Still a good business.
Yes. Now, what I will say to that is there's also other good business, i.e. crystal methamphetamine. And it's no secret the trend on the West Coast is a large increase in crystal methamphetamine use. So usually is what west comes east. We've had that experience before. I've been around long enough to know that, and in this business long enough to know that. So this amount of ephedrine is truly unprecedented in my time in drug enforcement, which is about 3 decades. So that gives you an idea of the market for the illicit substances moving forward.
What kind of dent in the street level drug availability does this kind of seizure?
Well, we're not naive enough to suggest that we've stopped the flow. That's for sure. But this is extremely significant in the sense that if you break it down by dollar amounts, we've taken millions of dollars in cocaine, millions of dollars in black market or gray market marijuana, and potentially multi-millions of dollars of crystal methamphetamine off the street. So I would certainly say that that's significant.
This is likely though just the tip of the iceberg of the kind of illegal drug distribution operations going on in Ontario or the GTA.
Well, I'll say this. This is one of many investigations that we have going on. So yes, there's a reason why drug squads have existed for as long as they do. We come here time and time again. We put out these very impressive displays that are reflective of a ton of work that our members do. But at the end of the day, we keep showing up back here and doing this again. So maybe that's the best way to answer that question. But we continue, and we're going to keep doing what we do. And the message is, if you're involved in this type of activity, you could very well be next on our radar.
Firearms seized during this operation?
Not in this one, no.
Can you give, in a nutshell, all the drugs that were seized and kind of the general total of the seizure?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, close to 29 kilos of powder cocaine. In terms of marijuana, almost 4,000 plants. The ephedrine, close to 700 kilograms. And just to add on to that, as I mentioned as well, with respect to proceeds of crime, meaning actual cash on hand, over $308,000 in cash.
Typically, when you see the dominant stimulant go from other forms to methamphetamines, historically in the U.S., the experience has been more violence on the street, more officer-involved interactions. Are you feeling the effects of this change to methamphetamine on the streets of Toronto?
You want to take that, Steve?
Yes, I would agree with that statement in the sense of, I know on the West Coast they're experiencing that. I can't speak to any, actual matrix or any actual stats that I have at this point that it's affected the streets of Toronto. What I can tell you is, with my experience, is that our supervised injection sites are experiencing an increase of crystal meth combined with fentanyl as a component of it. So there definitely is more at the street level crystal meth being seized, and you are 100% accurate. The level of violence and the level of aggression from a crystal meth user is completely different and enhanced from a lot of the other substances before you here today.
Would there be any reason that the experiences in Toronto would be any different than, the other hundreds of cities stateside?
Hypothetically, probably not. It would just have to do with, now we're getting into a numbers game, and that's difficult to predict, right? And I'm not going to stand up here and predict that type of statistical increase one way or the other, but that would be, a reasonable assumption that with that type of controlled substance being crystal meth, it comes with that type of violence.
I think one other thing that we should mention as part of this news conference, and you'll see it on the boards here, is that we have yet another example of drug dealers having traps built into their vehicles as a means to conceal controlled substances like cocaine. So after the news conference, you may want to have a closer look at that, but yet another example of it. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes today's news conference. Thank you.